Hey guys, it's Kendra. Today I'm here to do my second video in my Twin Talk series. If you guys missed my last one, I talked about discipline, tantrums, I talked about sleep and getting rid of binkies. So I'll link that down below if you missed it. I talk all about that stuff. These videos are for all of my most common questions I get asked. I wanted to kind of compile them in different videos so that when I get a lot of questions from you guys on my Instagram, I can just say, I have a video right here and it talks about this, this, and this. So it's just gonna be easier for you guys to find certain topics. These videos are open and honest, just talking about my real life with twins and how it is, how I've dealt with certain things, stages, and everything that goes along with having twins. If you guys are new to my channel, I have twin girls that are almost 2.5. They'll be 2.5 in June. And I'm pregnant right now with a little baby boy. I'm 30 weeks pregnant. But today we are talking about food, like eating, getting them to eat certain things, dealing with them not wanting to eat, and kind of like going through eating regressions. That's kind of how I explain it as. It's like sometimes they're hungry, sometimes they don't want to do with food at all. So we're talking about food. We are also going to talk about getting the girls ready for a new baby, like steps I've taken, what we say to them, and also getting your dog ready, because for those of you guys who don't have kids yet, but you are currently pregnant, there are a few things that we did for our dog Kyla. We have a Shiba Inu, so I'll talk about that too. And then I also want to talk about just surviving the first couple months with twins and just like overall my mentality of having twins, like how I kind of go about things, because I've been getting a lot of questions and I just kind of want to address certain things. So we'll get to that as well. Okay, so first up, let's talk about food. This was a very commonly asked question. So June definitely is more picky than Violet. Violet will eat a lot more. She's a faster eater, so it sometimes looks like she's eating more, and June just takes her time and isn't as concerned with food. Like, she'd rather be doing other things than eating. So I have to be very tricky when it comes to feeding them and just try out new things. That is a common thing with twins, I've learned. You just have to keep trying and experimenting with things until they work, and realize that once they work, 2 weeks later, they probably won't work anymore because you're gonna have to try something else out. Sometimes they just won't be interested in food at all. And my pediatrician did tell me, like, right now they're gonna go through these growth spurts where sometimes they're gonna be eating all the time, or like you'll feel like they're snacking all day long, but then when they sit down for a meal, they don't really wanna eat. So she said, don't be concerned about that. Because at first I was like, I feel like June is not eating anything. But I think it's just like phases, like they kind of phased out of it. So one thing I did try to do is not give them as many snacks and just give them more like during their actual meals. And also they love milk still. So I know that when they're gonna drink a lot of milk, they're not gonna eat as much. What I do in the mornings for breakfast now, I'd give them their milk when they woke up because they love milk, but I would make them breakfast right after and they would never eat it. So now I give them their milk, they play, and then I kind of wait till they tell me that they're hungry. Before, I would be kind of not forcing them to eat, but I would do it on my own schedule. Now they tell me when they're hungry, they tell me when they want to do stuff. So when they come up to me and say that they're hungry, I'll make some breakfast for them. So usually what I make for them in the morning, I make 3 eggs, 2 for myself and 1 for them to split. If they finish their like split egg, then I'll give them more egg from my plate, but usually that's enough for them. And I also put cheese in it. They just love cheese, but I have to limit the cheese because they'll get constipated. And then I will either do like yogurt with that, with some fruit, or a little bit of cereal, or some avocado. But they don't eat a ton for breakfast. But usually like I do some eggs and some type of fruit. Another thing I've tried to do now is not give them as much food. Andrew helps me with this one. He, would come home at the end of the day and there'd always be their plates left on their table, like full. And he's like, they don't need to eat as much as you think. So I started giving them less food than I think they need. And then if they want more, they usually ask. So if I see that they're eating all of their rice and beans, I'll give them a little bit more, or more pasta or whatever it is. But I try to start with less food so I'm not wasting so much. For snacks, We do a lot of different things. They really like hummus. We'll do hummus and crackers. We'll do like these little, I have these veggie muffins that I found from Costco. You just microwave them, they're awesome. So I like that because they're getting some zucchini and carrots mixed into their muffin, which is great. We will do bars. I have some kid protein bars or like cereal bar, not cereal bars, like they're like Nutrient bars, but the ones from Trader Joe's I get, so they're like soft bars. We will do fruit. They love fruit, so like cut up grapes or strawberries, cheese stick, a pouch, like a fruit and veggie pouch, veggie straws they really like. Oh, another snack they love are yogurt covered raisins. Oh my goodness, they're in love. Smoothies are also another really good one. So I try not to give them too many snacks during the day, just again, because they won't eat as much for like lunch. So for lunches, we will do mac and cheese, pasta shells. I like the organic ones from Annie's. Sometimes I'll throw in like corn and peas with that. We will do quesadillas sometimes. They really like rice and beans and chicken. So I'll do like cut up chicken with rice and beans, chicken nuggets with ranch. I also found these, like, they look like chicken nuggets, but they're filled with cauliflower. They have these other ones that are filled with broccoli. So you have to kind of be sneaky with vegetables because my girls are not fans of vegetables. Also, they love turkey. So like just deli meat I'll do. And then again, fruit, like a side of fruit or applesauce or something like that. And then for dinner, it's like the same thing. So some version of lunch we do for dinner. Also, I'm trying to give them more of what we eat for dinner. So like if I'm doing a chicken stir fry, I'll just cut it up a lot smaller and give it to them. Something I have also noticed that helps getting them to eat more is eating with them. So instead I would feed them usually like at 5, but now I wait until like after 6 to feed them. What I've been trying to do is sit down at our dining table with them and just eat with them. I just find that they're more focused on what they're eating. It's not like they're just sitting at their little table and there's toys all around them. It's more like we're gonna sit down and eat dinner, and they see me eating, so that helps too. And they totally like to eat stuff that I'm eating. So if they see me eating something, they're gonna wanna eat what I'm eating. You just have to be kind of sneaky with how you get them to eat. I used to kind of stress about it, but now I don't. I just think sometimes they're not gonna be as into food, their appetite's not gonna be super high, and then other times I feel like they're eating all day long. So it just really shifts and changes. But as long as your kids are growing normally, I wouldn't stress so much about it. Oh, and also I want to mention sippy cups. We have the Munchkin 360 ones. I'll link all these down below. That's what I put like juice in or water. They also have just water bottles. I like having this around me at all times, my Hydro Flask, because they really like drinking out of my water bottle. Like they each have their own Hydro Flask, like kid one, but they prefer mine. So I just always try to have this by me, and I always am just kind of like trying to get them to drink more water because again, they really like milk. So I'm always like, let's drink water. And so I'll be like, let's all take a big sip, you know, just like make it super fun, like a game, or I'll be like, get your water bottle, let's cheers. And sometimes if they want a snack, I'll be like, okay, let's take 3 sips of water and then I'll give you a snack type of thing. Their cups I use for milk are by Nook. Again, those will be listed down below. They're just sippy cups. And we've gone through a bunch of them because sometimes the little like nipple part on the bottle gets loose, so it starts leaking. But they last for a really long time and they really like them. So that's what we've been using for a really, really long time. I don't know when we switched to them. A little after they turned a year, I would say. Okay, let's talk about what I've done, what Andrew and I have done to kind of prepare the girls for a new baby. So it's not like we told them right when I got pregnant, like, there's a baby coming, you know, because it just seemed very soon. A couple months in, like maybe, I don't know, 5 months, 4 months in, once you could really start seeing my stomach, that's when we started like pointing to it and saying like, there's a baby growing in mommy's tummy. And we kept saying that it's growing, like there's a baby in there and it's growing. And especially when we knew the gender, that kind of helped too. We're like, this is your baby brother, he's growing in there. And at first they were kind of confused. They didn't really know what's going on. But I think as my stomach keeps getting bigger, they're now understanding like there's a baby inside. It was so funny. The other day, I'm standing by the fridge and June is just standing there looking at my stomach and she's like, baby brother's growing. I was like, yeah. And then she goes, I want to see him. And I was like, okay, he has to get a little bigger, then you can see him. So they kind of are like over it. They just want to see him, it seems like. So I wouldn't tell your kids too soon because it's a long process. They have to wait until they actually see the baby. But I think just like talking about it a lot, getting them used to it. When we're laying on the couch together, I'm kind of like holding my stomach, and whenever he moves, I will be like, oh, he's waving to you, come feel. Violet is not as interested. Like, she doesn't really care about my stomach. June is very intrigued. Like, she is so sweet. The other day, she's like, I want to give my baby brother a hug. And she came on the couch and laid on my stomach and just like hugged my stomach. And she like pulls my shirt up to see him. And then she'll say like, okay, night-night. Like, she'll pull my shirt down. But she was laying on my stomach and he kicked like really hard. And she kind of was startled. Whenever she feels him, she just like, her eyes light up and it's so cute. Like, I think her feeling him made it like more real. Like, wow, there's actually something in your tummy. And so now I always say like, he's waving to you, come here, he's trying to say hi. So that's kind of what we do. They also call him by his name. So we're waiting to tell you guys his name. Once he's born, it is in no way like, I want to wait because I want to have this big name reveal or like a name reveal on YouTube. Like, it's probably like opposite of that. It's more like that's the one thing, his name, that we can just keep to ourselves right now. You know, it's like I share so much of my life. So we felt like keeping his name to us during my pregnancy is like our little sacred thing. And then once he's in the world, obviously we'll share his name with you guys. But we're gonna wait until then. But our friends and family know, and the girls know, and they call him by his name all the time. That's why it's kind of hard to like, if I'm filming them, I have to sometimes edit out them saying his name because they call him by his name all the time. They say baby and then they say his name. So, but I think that helps them too, like knowing his name. I think like they know who that is and they're like identifying it with him. I do think telling your kids your future baby's name like kind of helps with that. One thing I've heard people do is they have a present for their kids at the hospital. So when I give birth, I might have a little present for each of them and say it's from the baby. And I've heard that's like a good way of them, you know, kind of being like excited and not jealous, and it's something like they think is really cute. I don't know. So let me know if you guys have done that before and if it actually works. But as far as like what I think, how I think they're gonna be, we won't know until he's here, you know. But I truly believe, like both Andrew and myself feel this way, however the parents are, like however you are acting, your kids or your dogs even, they see that and they like act accordingly. I'll talk about dogs in a second, but like when we like people, our kids like those people, you know what I mean? And like Kyla likes those people. Like they sense when you're comfortable with people, they sense when there's strangers at the door. I just think however you're acting really rubs off on them. So I think as long as we're calm and loving and still like paying attention to them a lot, they'll be okay. But I definitely think they're gonna be jealous a little bit because we were with one of my cousins last week and he has a 4-month-old baby and Andrew was holding the baby and the girls both were like, I wanna hold you, daddy, and super like clingy towards Andrew. So it's definitely gonna be an adjustment and they might be a little jealous, but they're gonna have to learn, you know, how to deal. I think it might be a little bit easier for them to transition to having a baby more than just if we had one child, because their whole lives they've had to share everything. Like nothing is really theirs. They have, like June has a bear that's hers, but that's kind of it. Like everything else is pretty much both of theirs. So I think that is going to help in the sense where like they're pretty used to knowing that everything is everybody's. It might be tricky once our baby, like our little boy, is older because he's gonna be used to having things to himself and the girls are gonna be like, no, we all share it, you know what I mean? So that'll be kind of interesting. It's funny because Andrew calls the girls two babies. Like that is what he's called them forever. Like he'll come home and be like, where are my two babies? and they now refer to themselves as two babies. So whenever I get something for the nursery, something for the baby, I'm like, this is your baby brothers. And they go, no, it's two babies. So I think they're used to like everything kind of being for them. So I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But a lot of you guys ask if I'm like nervous or whatever. I'm not nervous. I just feel like you just kind of figure it out as you go. I'll talk about this in a second. Let's talk about the dog situation, and then we'll talk about like why I'm not nervous. So if you guys do have a dog and you're kind of scared about bringing a baby home, something that we did was after the girls were born, we kept a swaddle blanket that they were in at the hospital, and Andrew brought that home before we brought the girls home. And I read about that too, and they said it was super helpful. So he brought the blankets home and he put them in, I think just like up to Kyla, and she sniffed them a bunch just so she gets that scent. Like she's used to it and just knows it. So that's what he did before we came home. And then when we did come home, we actually filmed it. If you guys didn't watch my labor video, we filmed us coming home for the first time. And we had them in their car seats. So we came in and we went right back to our bedroom and we put the car seats with them on the ground, and we kind of just like let everyone be, and we let Kyla sniff them, and she started licking their feet, and we were, petting her, and it was just like a quiet moment of like everyone just getting adjusted. So I never left them alone with Kyla because you never know what could happen, obviously. One time, which was super scary, is like somebody came to the door and I had the girls on the couch in their DockATots, and Kyla jumped up onto the couch to like look out the window, and she didn't know that there was a baby on the couch, so she jumped onto June's face and like almost got her eye. Like I was so terrified to even look at June's face. I was like, oh my God. But she didn't know, so you just have to be very careful. It's not like she meant to jump on her, you know what I mean? But she doesn't know any better, and this was her house originally, it wasn't like there were babies here before her. So just being careful, just being cautious. For the most part, she was really good with them. And again, like she senses that we like them. So I think she just kind of reacts to that. So last, I just want to talk about like parenting in general and just like my, viewpoint on it and my stance and why I don't stress about certain things, because I get a lot of questions about this. The overall like underlying theme I get from a lot of questions is like people who are just really scared for like a new stage, scared for like transitioning their kids to something, like transitioning them into their toddler beds or preparing for them to walk, like all these new things that come with having kids. And what I've learned is that's how everything is going to be for like your whole life having kids. Everything is constantly changing, constantly evolving. If somebody were to ask me like for one piece of advice, especially with twins, I would say you really have to learn early on to not stress about all of these little things, because when you look back on them, they're really not a huge deal. At the time, they might feel like it. Introducing solids, like things like that, like just a new thing that you're changing in your daily routine can seem kind of scary and you don't know like what to do, but you just have to go with it. You just have to try things out. Not everything is gonna work right off the bat. Like your child might not like bananas right away, you know what I mean? But that's okay, and you don't need to stress about it. Just realize you can try it again in another week or two and see how it goes then. When it comes to sleep is a huge thing to me. I'm so passionate about sleep because when my girls are rested, they are so much happier. I'm a happier and better mom when they get good naps and good sleep at night. So that's why I talk about sleep a lot. But transitioning them, like when they're teething, when they are getting out of sleep sacks, like there's so many different things. It can definitely be stressful, but you just have to kind of go with it and realize that in a few weeks, they're probably going to be adjusted, or like taking binkies away, like things like that can seem really daunting, but Usually I found that things take either a few days to a week for your kid to get adjusted to. Now, a week can seem like a super, super long time. Like when you're sleep training, 4 days or whatever seems like a lifetime. But when you look back, like all these little moments seem pretty small in comparison. So when people ask me if I'm scared to have another baby, I'm really not. You just figure it out as you go. And I think having twins first really taught me that, because there's no time to really think about things. I'm a believer in your instincts and your gut. Like I think all mothers have this like maternal instinct, and you know what is right for your kids. And I think you really just gotta trust yourself and go with it. And obviously be smart and safe about things. But for the most part, like everybody is learning as they go. I don't know, you just kind of do it. A lot of you guys asked about fighting and stuff with your twins. I did talk about that in my last video, but I just want to say, just because like they're fighting all the time right now and like pulling each other's hair out and stealing each other's toys, and it's like a lot, and it can be like super stressful sometimes and like emotionally draining from like all the crying and yelling. I think having some moments to myself really helps. Like I have Andrew's mom take them, right now she has them once a week. She takes them to her house, and it gives me time to just like film and stuff like this, but also just some time to just have alone and to breathe. I think that's crucial if you have twins. At the end of the day, when your husband comes home from work or whatever your situation is, unplugging, watching a show, taking a bath. I think moments like that really help you to like re-energize yourself to tackle the next day, because it can be draining. It is draining. Sometimes I can find myself getting so worked up because I'm like, all they do is fight, like, oh my gosh. So I try to just take a deep breath. I eat a lot of chocolate now. But let me just tell you that there are so many hard moments, and I don't know if it's like lately I've been extra hormonal from this pregnancy, or their fighting is just like really getting to me, but I can get so irritated. Like they're yelling and fighting, and I'm just like, oh my God. Like sometimes I feel like I'm just like yelling at them all day long. And then 2 seconds later, they do the cutest thing and you're like, you're so freaking cute. It is just crazy and bizarre and a whirlwind, and you're like this, like all day long. It's like you're pulling your hair out and you're like, oh my God, you're so sweet. And then you want to get out of the house so bad, and then you do get out of the house and you're like, oh, I need to get home. It's like, that's just how it is. So those are my thoughts lately. This was all over the place, huh? I feel like these videos are all over the place, but I am all over the place all the time now. So, and if you have any other questions or whatever, just leave them in the comments. Follow me on Instagram at with Kendra. I talk to you guys all in my messages. So thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Best of luck to the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.